Hey everyone, we'll just give this a few minutes. Thank you for waiting. We'll be starting soon. There we go. You should be able to hear me now. Like I was just saying, we might have some bugs and we'll work through them, and that's okay. Thank you, Matt, for chiming in. But you should now hear me. I had my mic muted for the intro sequence when I was just playing the music, and I forgot to unmute myself, but that's okay. What I was saying is that hello and welcome to the stream. This is the first time I'm doing this, right? So there will be like little bugs like what we just had, and we'll work through those. And I see this stream as being recurring and maybe happening every week or every couple weeks. And we'll talk through designs that people submit, and I think together we can make them better, right? I really appreciate everyone that's participating in the chat. I would love to have like a dialogue back and forth. I even put a number at the bottom of the screen here. You can even call in if you want. If we're talking through a design and you have some thoughts, maybe it's your design, maybe you have some thoughts on the design, you're more than welcome to call in. I know people can be shy. I've done this on live streams in the past, and that's okay too. If you don't want to, we can just use the chat as well, or you can just sit and listen. But we have a really fun stream ahead of ourselves. We have only 4 people that submitted designs for us to go over, and that's okay. But let me show you our lineup here. Let me show you our lineup, and our first design crit will be with Matt, who's I can see is already in the chat, and other people are in the chat as well. Hello, Undine and Akin and Matt as well. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, this is the first portfolio we'll be looking at, but this is what I wanted to show you. This is our critique order. So first we'll do Matt, then Undine, then Jayesh, and then Azlen, who will hopefully join us here too. We were talking on Twitter, so he's got some fun conceptual designs for us to look at, and I think it's going to be super fun. Again, it'll probably be a short stream today because we do really only have those 4, but I'm also open to people just sharing work right into the chat if you feel that you just kind of want to share some one-off things with us. So like I said, I'll be looking at these pieces, giving my feedback, but you're more than welcome to give your feedback in that YouTube chat there, which I'll be looking at. And so, this is intimate, not a lot of people watching, so that allows us to kind of have a nice and natural discussion as we look at this work. Again, the goal is really to, let me go back to the full camera here. The goal is really for us to give you feedback that's actionable, and that actionable feedback should, by the end of this stream, you should be able to know what next steps you can do so that when you apply to your next job or interview or internship, whatever your kind of goal is for your design career, that you have like those things that you need to make that better. And absolutely, Matt, I'm super psyched. Let's hop into it. Let's jam on this. And we can all like help Matt, at least as this first design, improve his portfolio. So I have the design here. I opened it up, and this is Matt's website, which is live. And so it's exciting to see that you've got the URL, you've got everything set up. And I mean, like, the first thing that pops out to me is just like a really nice, like, strong landing page. I feel like this is really nice. I mean, it's nothing like out of the ordinary. You see this a lot with like a hello introductory sentence and like what you do and where you are. I think honestly it's a great lineup. There's a reason why everyone does this. It works well. So you're saying, hey, my name's Matt. I'm a UX UI designer based in Portland, Oregon. Okay, that's cool. Hey, thanks for tuning in earlier in your morning. I'm coming to you from Brooklyn, New York. So I'm doing well. Thanks for joining, Jayesh. You will be number 3 in our stream. Number 3. We're on number 1 right now. So I'm glad you got the link from Akin too. Okay, so you have this illustration of yourself. I think this is fun. Actually, and I was looking through this earlier. You have illustrations throughout your website, and I actually think there's an opportunity for you to even go further with these illustrations. Make them just a little bit more stylistic, maybe varying in like line weight, or maybe have some additional accent colors because you're really heavily leaning in on this blue throughout the website. I see this like sparkle of yellow on this emoji, and I'm like, you can't really see it, my face is blocking it. There it is. Blue and yellow are actually really good colors that work together. Maybe yellow is a color you consider as an accent. Of course, you wouldn't ever want yellow on white because that would be low contrast, but that's okay. You could have yellow on this blue here. So you have some projects here providing a simple solution for bus riders, and you have a case study working with a team to reimagine the cooking experience. Both of these sound really fun. I think a person should always put their best, sorry for hitting the mic there. A person should always put their best work at the top of their portfolio, the first one, and that's most likely what a hiring manager is going to look at when they're thinking about your work. And so they're just going to click on the first one because they're really honestly not going to spend much time looking at your website. So that's what I'm going to do to kind of simulate the like recruiter or hiring manager experience. They're just going to click the first one. So this is Annie, a simple transit app. Okay. And you have an image of this here. I almost wish this was a little bigger because this is kind of your hero image. This is the pride and joy of your design. I almost want to see it bigger, maybe in context. This is a transit app, right? So maybe you have someone holding it at a bus stop or something like that, right? Showing it in context will help like make it feel human and like real, bring it to like a new real life feeling that if it's in this like white box clean kind of scenario, it doesn't feel as real. So you help spruce that up by maybe putting it in context, having a really just beautiful hero image and going big on there. So you're the designer on this. you used a bunch of different tools and you did this in 4 weeks. I like that you have kind of just an outline at the top, always good to have for the beginning of a project. And you also have this this side navigation here, which does become a little hard to read when it's on the blue. This blue on the, or the black text on the blue is hard to read. So you might want to consider adjusting that just so it's readable when you don't have that hover state there. Because imagine if I was on an iPad looking at this, maybe you don't get hover states, right? You don't have hover states on mobile, and so that would be hard to read because you can't really hover to read it either. Okay, problem statement. Bus riders are confused about which bus is theirs at the Washington and State, at Washington and State. You might want to give more context. Okay, at Washington and State, and they have no way to access the information they need. Okay. What information do they need? Oh, I'm so curious. Okay. I was given 3 business opportunity requirements to address the problems at one. Okay, so one of the things that's popping up to me is like, okay, what are the requirements that you were given and who gave them to you? Maybe set it up as like why you're doing this. I of course know because you're part of, I think, the Thinkful program, right? That's one of the requirements as part of the coursework, but it might be helpful to just like set that up for you so that people understand. But I like how you're outlining the problem really, really big. You might want to get less specific, like the Washington and State intersection is actually less important than maybe just the bigger problem that you're solving with your designs. Users and audience, honestly, these are pretty good. I like that you have bolded things. That kind of helps with readability. With portfolios, no one's gonna stop and read every single thing, so it's nice to bold things to like, hey, this is if you're only gonna read a few things, read these things. Scope and constraints, very limited. We're not gonna dive into every last little piece of this, but we will take a glance at it. Okay, you're kind of like switching off left and right text, which I think is fine. It does get a little too much, and it ends up being like ping pong across the screen. You might want to do more things where you break it up, kind of like what you have with this top one, where you have a whole new section, kind of changes up the background, and maybe you have some more images to kind of reduce the ping pongness of going left, right on this page layout. You're also using a few different typefaces here, like the images are using maybe like a Helvetica or something, and then your website is another typeface, and I think that's fine as long as maybe, but then you're using like another typeface here, so I'm like unsure what your kind of branding style is throughout this project. It feels just a little inconsistent, but like you're using the same blues here, right? So this is the same blue as this, I think, which is nice. Here I'm noticing something like just the visual design thing. You have this left aligned user interviews. This should be left aligned as well. The personas headline right here. Just pop that over to the left. Center aligned text just in general just isn't popular. You just generally always want to line it up with like you have here, like on this one. But very, very neat. This is a very thoughtful design, and you have a really long project here. Let me actually pull up. Let's see here. Yeah. So when Matt submitted this, he said, "I'm at the point where I'd like to be applying for jobs. Your goal is to have an application ready within 1 to 2 weeks. You're gonna add a couple more case studies. I think that's fine. 3 to 5 like case studies is a good amount. You did some usability tests. What I really want to see is like, gosh, where, like you talk about the branding and the design, but what is the one thing that your design solves for that you found in, let's see, wants to see a list of arriving buses. Callum is a bus rider, and okay, I like that you're pointing out the specific needs. That's really neat. Let me see. Just open this back up here. Okay, we're all good. Yeah, this is solid. I feel like you could shorten this up and make a more concise story. because this is a really long page, and then maybe have expandable sections if people want to read more, because it's nice to have all this detail, but I do kind of want to see like the one big thing that you found out, and maybe put it really big through your research and what you solved for, and the one like really innovative thing that your app does would be awesome to see, just awesome. But logo, name, and development. The logo, I don't think it's the strongest part of this aspect, but I like that you included it. Just kind of like the lines on the top and bottom feel a little like they're asymmetrical, right? And then this kind of looks like the Amazon smile, so now I can't stop thinking about Amazon because it's the blue and yellow. But it still works, right? It's not necessarily the main focus of your project, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And then like so you have this Figma prototype, and we're almost done with Matt because I don't want to give him all the time, and we'll move on to our second. And I actually probably will start a timer so that we can stay on track with each of our segments here. Okay, let's see. And so you start with the sign-in flow. Honestly, okay, you could probably skip that whole sign-in thing. It's not as important. Okay, and you have this like background color. I'm not sure if you can set this in Figma, but it doesn't necessarily. Oh, I guess you are using it. Never mind. You are using it. Okay, the tinted pumpkin is what you call it. Okay, no, never mind. I was going to say it didn't seem like it matched, but it does according to the rest of your designs. Okay. And here you have your app. I kind of just want it to be bigger. Like I'm just zooming in here on your website, but it would be nice to just have this bigger, honestly. And you have your design here. Oh, something's like in mid transition here. Not sure what's happening there. Okay. But okay. Add Packard and main to stops. It would be nice for like a dialogue like this. Instead of just having the icons, you probably also want to have text to accompany that. That's just kind of like a standard practice thing. It's just like what people are used to in terms of using interfaces like this. But I do like it's big and bold and simple, and you have the affirmative on the right, which is generally the pattern you want for a pop-up like that. But very slick, Matt. I really appreciate your depth here. But I think how you present this project could use some condensing. Think about like storytelling, like what's the story you're telling. You can improve your readability by making it more skimmable, right? So making the really important things just like really big, and have just all those really big things tied together into one story. Like, this is the problem. This is the one thing I found out from research. This is how I solved it. Here's this gorgeous design. That's me, and that's why I'm awesome as a designer, and that's what you can say on this on this page. But honestly, it's awesome. Very, very good work. Very great and slick work. You're very close to being at that submittable state for your portfolio into the job market, I think. Okay, we do have another one coming up here for a, let's see. Let's just find who we have up next. It is Undine, which I know is in the chat. Undine, I did see your name in the chat. And we'll take a look at what the project is. But this is what Undine said about the project. So it's a landing page for a redesign attempt at a local nonprofit committee/website, and it's a work in progress. Its aim is to draw awareness, foster engagement, and educate the public on food security and how they can play a part. Which honestly, just right off the bat, like what an amazing cause to be designing for. I mean, that's where our design work is probably going to make like a huge impact. Here's that project I just opened up for us to start taking a look at. Oh, you were taking notes. All good, Matt. Don't worry. That's perfectly fine by me. Taking notes is so important. So yeah, I got to do that. And also this will be available for playback for you to look over too. And if you have any follow-up questions, maybe some of my feedback If you have some questions about it, you can always send me a message and I'll let you know. Okay. Okay. Back to Undine's work. So that was the goal and the project. And Undine is looking to understand your shortcomings, so you can help develop the areas and by extension your overall skills. A bit more confidence in myself and the ability to showcase my work. Well, let's dive into it. I think we can help achieve those things that you're looking for. Denel, yeah, you can send your project at the end. So we have a few more to look at, but if you just kind of share it in this YouTube chat after we've gone through everyone else that has already submitted their project, then we can get to yours, Denel. Okay, so here's the design from Undine. Okay, let's take a look. So this is a homepage, like they said, for a local nonprofit. And so I imagine like the first thing that stands out to me is the logo, and this might be something that you don't have control over. Maybe this is a logo that was already provided to you, and you have to work with. I just think like the smaller text on this logo makes it kind of hard to read when it's so small. And I actually really like the symbolism of the logo. Like maybe just embracing that cornucopia and making that bigger could be a really strong element. And then having like the name of the organization kind of bigger right next to it instead of on top maybe. But you have, it is just one scrolling website, and then these take us to different locations throughout the website. They just kind of scroll, which is nice. And then, so the first thing, okay, our actions, let's start at the top, and we will, yeah, absolutely, Denel. Thanks. I'm glad you made it to the stream, and we'll definitely get to your work at the end for sure. Okay, so our actions are our future. This is a really dynamic, nice banner image. Zero Hunger World by 2030 is possible. It almost does feel like an ad. Like, I wonder if you could incorporate this rectangle image like with the background image just a little bit more, integrate them, and it might feel more like a big expansive like showcase rather than an advertisement. But I do really like it's rich in colors, and feels like wholesome, which I think is what you would want for a nonprofit website. Absolutely. And as I start scrolling with this sticky, oh, it is an ad. It is an ad. Okay, then that makes sense. I almost want to know more about the nonprofit first rather than seeing the ad. Like, right? I feel like the first thing might be actually like, hey, this is what the nonprofit does and our purpose. That might be kind of nice. And then maybe you have the ads for similar initiatives or things that the organization is doing. As I start scrolling, what I was pointing out here, this static bar here that stays in the same spot, it's just a bit tall. So really our viewing area is kind of condensed to only be maybe like 3/4 of what it could be. And so it's just not a lot of room to read. It could maybe be a bit smaller, just like shorter, I think, would solve it. Or some websites even do something where it shrinks when you start scrolling, right? About us, I think you could lose these little lines in the middle on the left and right. Honestly, like designers always talk about minimalism, and honestly just like removing kind of some of those unnecessary elements really helps like bring the focus toward your content. So about us, I would align it to the left, right? Because this is where the rest of your text is. Align it to the left, maybe even a little bigger too, would be really nice. And then World Food Day National Committee of Sit and Met, and then you have Lorem Ipsum. So the design is strong, but when your content is missing, that's when everything starts to fall apart, honestly, because without the content, you have nothing to design around. And so I really highly encourage you, before you show this to any employer or put it like on a portfolio, to like fill out that content, because that content is really where your story is as a designer. Because without the content, it's just like, I don't know what this piece of text is. What is it saying? What is it doing for the design? And you have more of it over here too. But I do like that you have this take action button. we kind of call that like a call to action, right? That's the one thing that you want to do. You might even make this bigger. Instead of having it floating on the right, maybe put it down at the bottom so that these two things aren't competing for attention. Could be neat to give this a little bit more attention. Our actions are our future. Nice. Okay. Yeah, and then you have upcoming events, and this is a gallery as well, and this doesn't look like it's clickable, but that's okay. I imagine it would be in a real website. Okay, Oktoberfest, eat local. You might want to tighten up, just on a note on typography, tighten up the leading, leading is the space between lines of text. So right here, there's like a lot of space. Maybe tighten that up so that it's closer to your other text here. Like it's fine here on this body piece where you have the multiple lines of description, but maybe tighten it all up. And it actually doesn't seem, the alignment with this left image seems a little strange because the left image is a little taller and this is aligned to the top maybe. But I would almost expect with a circular image for it to be aligned toward the middle maybe. Yeah, so that's my initial thought there. And there's a spot to read more for that. Gallery. So again, like on a visual design a note, like this is starting to feel a little awkward because you have all this space above and not as much space below, like we talked about with the other title. Yeah, and it's again here. You might want to even that up, create a little bit more balance so it's a little bit more equal on both sides. Oh, and then here you kind of like change the typeface for the kids section to maybe make it feel a little bit more fun. But from a design perspective, it feels like a little inconsistent. But I see what you're going for. You're kind of like changing the typeface to make it maybe a little bit more friendly. And then actually with all of your buttons here, your call to action buttons, I think, again, left align them with the rest of your content. So here's where your content is starting. I would actually push it over onto the left to match. All right, same over here. I would push it over to the left, put it over here. It's just a more standard place to put those kinds of buttons. What's weird about like interaction design sometimes is that those patterns like shift from context to context, right? Because if it's a pop-up, if you have a pop-up on the screen, then you want the buttons on the right side, not the left side. So in a way, the patterns change with the context, and it can be like kind of crazy sometimes. But I think this is a strong design. Really think about your content here. What story you're telling will be really strong. Spruce up the visual design just a little bit with those notes I mentioned. And make it, I think, a little bit more consistent with all these different green tones. I think you can consolidate those maybe to one, and maybe thinking about, maybe like secondary colors or more full content, because this has sharp corners, and this one's round, and this has a rounded corner, so it feels just a little inconsistent with your like visual style. But honestly, it's a successful design because it communicates well, and I feel like it would be usable, which is honestly the most important part of any design, that it would be usable, and this certainly is usable. So great job, Undine. I hope that was a fulfilling critique, and I hope you were able to learn some things, at least from my perspective, and then you can take that, make a next version of this design, and be even better for the next time that you share with someone whose opinions is way more important than mine, like someone that might give you a job, right? But how much fun. Okay, let's see who is next. Let's dive in here, and we have Jayesh coming in next. Then we have Azlen, and then whoever, maybe Daniel, submitting some work in the chat would be awesome. And you're welcome, Undine. This is any way that I can help designers kind of just grow and be better. I'm just kind of looking for any of that. Okay, let's see. So Jayesh, okay, has a project in here that they put on Behance. So Love it. I'm excited to see a Behance project. I work at Adobe, so I'm always kind of biased towards, and that last one was an XD prototype, so I always love seeing the Adobe products being used by up-and-coming designers. That's always fun. Okay, so let's hop over to Jayesh, their design. We'll open up our screen sharing here, and here's the context that was given with submitting this design. So the goal of this project was to design a messenger app with a seamless onboarding experience. And so you're focusing on the onboarding experience with this design, which is interesting because that's a very specific thing to focus on for a project. I think. So I have some questions around that that I can bring up later. Okay, and then what you're hoping to learn, Jayesh said, hoping to learn and improve my UX UI skills. Yes, absolutely. Let's dive in. So this is Zet Messenger. Ooh, okay, very fun, very fun. And again, if people have thoughts, leave them in the chat and we can talk about these things together. If you have an opinion, feel free to share that, because you'll find that when you're hired onto a company and you're in a design review, they'll want the designer to speak up and give their opinion and have at least some sort of point of view on a design. And so to get comfortable with having a point of view on a design is going to be helpful for you. Cool. Okay. So this is Zet Messenger. And here you have like a splash screen, very slick. And this is an onboarding experience concept for text messaging application. You used Figma. Okay, I feel like you could sum this up just a little bit more and just be a little bit more punchy with it. Like a shorter sentence, onboarding experience for a messaging app. You probably don't need to mention that you use Figma. It doesn't really matter. Applications onboarding experience is one of the most crucial factors in getting used. Yeah, onboarding is absolutely critical in any experience. And so this is what you're going for. Simple, smooth, fast. Nice. Okay. So let's look at this, and then you're going into some branding. Honestly, like, since this is a project about the onboarding, like the branding is neat, but I would expect it maybe more at the bottom. Like, I'm actually not as interested in this stuff because if you are going to be as specific into only talking about the onboarding for this messaging app, like, let's get into the onboarding. Like, what? Oh, and we're already at thank you. What? I wanted to see the onboarding. Oh, is this the onboarding? Is this it? I think you have an opportunity to tell a bit more of a story. Oh, and you have a video at the bottom of your prototype, which I do remember seeing when I looked at this when you submitted it. And here's the video. We'll wait for this to load just a second. I might reload the page. I do think you should move that up though. Let me reload the page here. I think you should move that up. That should be perhaps maybe the first or even second thing that you do show on this design, because it is so important. That video is going to be crucial for telling that story and what your onboarding flow is. And it doesn't seem to be loading for me, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open it in Chrome. Opening it in Chrome will probably maybe work. I'm using Safari here. That's always something to consider as well, is like, what platform does it work on or not work on? Okay, let's look here. Now it'll work. Okay. So here it is, Zet. You just open the app. The logo scrolls in here. Welcome to Zet Messenger, a fast, smooth, reliable, and secure messaging app. I think it's kind of quirky that you have each of those words come in individually. Oh, I can't do that. Then it won't be full screen for everyone else. Okay. It's quirky. It's kind of fun. Some people might say they wouldn't like that, but I like the pace it gives. Okay. A secure messaging app. Before we get started, please read and agree to our terms of service. You have just the tiniest link to the terms of service. Again, like, that's not like a huge part of the flow, right? But you might actually want to make that bigger or actually put the terms of service in there. Just so. Accept and continue. Okay, and you have that button. Let's verify your phone number. Okay. Well, wait, let's look at this first screen. Welcome to Zet Messenger, a fast, smooth, reliable, secure messaging. I'll zoom in here a little bit so we can see it more fully. There we go. Okay. Smooth, reliable. Okay. Fast and smooth feel like they're saying the same thing. So if you say fast and smooth, I'm like, okay, that's kind of saying the same thing. But okay, that's just a nuance. Let's verify your phone number. So you verify the phone number. Please confirm your country code and enter your phone number below. And you enter that. It would actually be nice to show the keyboard popping up here, because a lot of these prompts are going to be using the keyboard in any kind of onboarding flow. You're asking for a lot of input. So put that keyboard in there into your design. It'll make it feel a little bit more real, because the amount of real estate that you actually have on this design, if it were a real app, is a lot smaller, because that keyboard would actually be in place. So yeah, that's neat. Okay, are you sure this is the correct number? Oh, why are you asking? Are you this makes me feel like if I saw this, I would feel like, oh, did the system like see something wrong with my phone number that didn't seem right? And if that was the case, I would kind of expect the system to tell me like, oh, what was wrong with my phone number input? And you could specify like what was wrong if the system did. And then these buttons here, oh, they're so close together. I encourage you to actually get this design and put it on your phone. Put this design on your phone and try tapping through it. And you'll notice that like buttons that small are kind of pretty hard to press, and you'll never see buttons that small in most apps that are out there. It's just like a dexterity thing. Like some people have bigger fingers than others, and you just don't want those two things, which are very different in what they do, to be so close to each other. And they don't really have any bounds either. So maybe putting some bounds around those buttons would help too. Okay. Waiting automatically to detect OTP. And then you have like detected, all caps. This feels a little like out of style. Like especially since you're going for this chat like interface, you want to think, okay, one thing that I'm wondering is like, who is this coming from? Like, who are these chat messages coming from? If you've ever used the app like Lemonade, they do something where the interface is largely chat oriented, which I think is honestly a really killer way to do an onboarding flow. I love having that chat. The chat bubbles I think is great, but I just wonder like, who is this actually coming from? Other apps, they'll put like, so for you, it might be ZetBot, right? Because the name of your app is called Zet. So it might be coming from the ZetBot, and you can have like a little logo or avatar for the ZetBot right next to it. Because I'm wondering like, who is saying this? Where is it coming from? And then once you understand who it's coming from, then you can think about what voice and what personality that has. And if that personality is something that would say detected in all caps with an exclamation point, then you might want to lean into that silliness in a bit more places, because that one feels a little out of place. So think about the personality of this onboarding bot or whatever. Okay, it's time for a profile picture. Okay. Oh, and you upload this profile picture. These controls are really small. Again, what I said, put this on your phone and you'll realize if you actually use, I think you said you used Figma to make this. There's a mirroring app, right, where you can actually put it onto your smartphone, and you'll realize that is just way too small of an input field. You want that actually to be like full width, and then probably taller as well. In fact, you might want to think about consistency of your typefaces in general. Okay, let's go through. You have Julian, put in his name. The transition's kind of long. You can make that just a little bit snappier. Just speed it up. That one's good. Okay, and then we have the actual messaging app, which honestly, my main takeaway from this whole project is like, that's actually what I want to see more of. I know this project's about the onboarding, but I actually want to see more of the actual project, the app itself, Zet Messenger, because I think that's where the rich interaction design can really come to life, is actually beyond the onboarding experience. The onboarding really just feels like one small aspect of a project, and the project honestly doesn't feel as complete as it could be if you have more of the app filled out, right? What is the app doing? What problem is it solving? Why does this app exist? There's a million messaging apps out there, so why this one? What's so unique about it? I would love to be told that story. Very nice. Great work, Zet. I think you killed it. You're on point with your branding, and just some adjustments to how you tell your story, and maybe some consistency on your controls, like the things that you actually touch and interact with on that design could be better. Okay, let's move on to our next one. Yeah, who's ready for the next one? That was Jayesh, and then we'll go on to Azlen, who I know hopefully is in the chat or somewhere around here. We have some really fun ideas. Look at all this that Azlen submitted. Some really awesome. Okay, let me read what Azlen put as kind of the context for these sketches that we're going to look at. And again, so for these ones, we really want to be thinking we've been talking a lot about visual design, some interaction stuff, but we're really going to be diving into thinking about interaction with these next ones. Like how do these concepts on Azlen's here, hey, what's up, like how do these work on just almost like a philosophical level? Like obviously these are sketches, right? So we're not going to be really thinking as much about like, are they pretty or not? We're going to be thinking about does this make sense, and does this kind of like new type of pattern make sense? And we can talk about like how you can innovate for some of these things. So let's read what Azlen had to say. Let me open this up here. Okay, so these are sketches, concepts for an AR language learning app that lets you label objects in your environment and create a memory palace of vocabulary. Very early stages, these are some sketches and notes on what I imagine the interface and interactions to look like. A couple ideas I might want feedback on: the meaning slider, which we'll dive into, basically when typing a word, we'll get into that. And then the other thing is lenses. And so he wants a no sugar critique, so I'll give you all I got. And you're looking for feedback, questions you might have not thought of, accessibility issues, for sure. Yeah, let's dive into it. Okay. I'm honestly like really excited for this one because I think just looking at your Twitter account, you're always thinking about these just weird, new, wacky ways of interacting. Okay, and so I'm thinking about the context of what you said. You said AR language learning app, and the first thing that pops into my head is honestly, okay, we're using AR to learn a language, which means we're probably like pointing the camera at things and learning from our real life experience to kind of associate words with our lived experience. How you tie it to a memory palace. The memory palace is like this imaginary place, physical space that you can use to remember things. As a metaphor, I think is really strong. But honestly, the way I think about it is just like, hey, let's learn a language by relating this to your lived life experience, because maybe that's like the core value that this is giving over something like a Duolingo, where you're kind of being put into these made up situations and you just kind of have to go with the flow for their made up situations with made up pictures and stock photography. But this is like, hey, let's learn a new language with your environment. That's a really strong story. And let me get some water here because I've been talking a lot. Jayesh, hey, I'm glad you noted some of those pieces of feedback. And you're welcome. I'm glad that was helpful to you. So you have a menu up here, snapshot button. So I imagine this is like the interface. That's where you can take a photo. You have a target where a new word will be placed. Modes in the style of Instagram or Snapchat filters. Yeah, I'm curious to get into the filters thing. I think that actually could be a really neat idea. But again, I think everything, as we look through this, I think everything should tie back to what we were just saying. Like, what is the value of AR in learning a language? And if some of these features aren't providing value in that specific use case, then it might be worth considering dropping. Like, is it just a gimmick, or is it actually providing value to learn a language in context? Okay, so question, is it necessary to have a button specifically for placing a word? So, okay, snapshot. So I imagine you'd see the camera feed, functions. Okay, snapshot, choose location for a word, spaced repetition. So I'm wondering what actually, I feel like like, I feel like you understand this in your head, but I actually need to like step back and think like, okay, do you take pictures of things and then it's using an AI to recognize what that object is and then translate it? Or do you actually, are you given a word and then you have to find that in your environment and take a photo of it? Like that's what I'm wondering. What's the core interaction of learning? What's that core loop? Because anything that has like a learning spin on it, you know, or even like a game, right, it has a core loop. What is that core loop that keeps repeating that you go through to learn word by word? Okay. Touch interactions elsewhere might have different actions. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, like, where do the words come from? Do you choose them or does the app choose them? Okay. Snapshot, choose location for a word, inspect word. Okay, you take a picture, label with a word in your native language, then is placed in the environment, translate it into the language you're learning. Oh, okay. And what's so interesting about that is that it kind of requires the person that's learning to be the main impetus to drive the learning. Like, they need to be the ones that are adding these things, which could be a hurdle. That could be a hurdle. Like, you have to have people submit or take these photos of words to kind of increase the learning capability. And you might hit a wall, right? If I'm stuck in my house, I'm only going to take photos of certain things. Like, it would almost be interesting if the app encouraged me to, like, a Pokemon Go style, like, go find a skyscraper and take a photo of that, and we'll map that new word to, almost like an adventure aspect. Could be fun to have it as well. Maybe the memory palace expands beyond just maybe your home. Okay. So definition, example sentences. So you can inspect a word. So imagine if you look at the lamp and you can see the translation of a lamp, then you could kind of tap on it to explore more. Mnemonics. Okay, visual mnemonic system. Interesting. Okay. Oh, you have some more. Let's go to this. Okay, picture taken after precise snapshot written. Not exactly what all of these are saying, but okay. Multiple meanings. Oh, multiple meanings. Yeah. So I do think you're talking about this meaning slider, right? Where's the meaning slider? Here's the meaning slider. So table, multiple meanings. So I guess you're trying to solve for when you take a photo of table and table has multiple meanings. Like, a table could be the physical table, or table could be like a, I don't know, like a chart, right? Like an Excel document is a type of table, right? And so you might have these multiple meanings that the app would then have to decipher between. And so how does that, and so Azlen is thinking like, oh, maybe it's a slider. And initially when I think of that, I think, gosh, it almost, when I see a slider, I almost think like it's on a scale. Like how do these words actually relate to one another then becomes a thing that I think about. Like, are the meanings like related to each other? And is that, because like, I could also imagine that like these words that might have multiple meanings are actually not on a linear scale. They might be kind of on multi-axes of different meanings. Like, you can use it in this context and it might mean, like, if it's on a XY scale of like emotions, one might be placed more in one corner and another might be placed more in another corner, and it's actually maybe not so linear. But perhaps that's overthinking it. Maybe this is just a way to select between different meanings, in which case like a slider works. Like, I wouldn't overthink it too much. Or even just something like what you have here, just like tapping on it and seeing that there's multiple listings. Like, dictionaries have solved this in a way, right? It's a solved problem. Like, you just kind of show multiple and you can read the one that you think is meaningful to you. Okay, after placing the word, what happens? Return to the world. Okay. Language at third screen, giving... Oh, that's my timer. Okay. Play pronunciation. Okay, that's fun. Should I show a static image after snapshot? Ooh, should you show a static image after you take the snapshot? I think that might be kind of strange, right? Like, I think if you were actually moving around in your space, staring at your screen and seeing your camera feed, if you then took a photo and things started freezing, well, maybe it does show in the corner here, like you're showing. But if things kind of like froze and you had that snapshot in time, then you might have some weird, like it might feel weird for it to not move around. But Azlen, I want to show you something that I think you would love. There's an app called Weird Type, and the icon looks like that. It's from a designer. His name's Zach Lieberman. He's out of New York. Very cool guy. And the way it works is that, gosh, I wish I could show you maybe a little bit more. You can put words in space, and it's using AR. And so like there's my background here, right? And I can type something. And so you might actually be able to prototype. Let's type something. So I'm gonna type Azlen, and then we'll do that. And let's see. And there's a bunch of different effects which are really fun. What should we do? Stamp. Okay. So here it is, right? There's my room, and you just tap to add text, right? And it stays in space. And sorry, that's kind of hard to, let me open up the full cam, right? And so you tap somewhere, and it adds the text in that space in AR, and so you can move around. And so this might be a really low fidelity way to prototype this design, because this is already out there, and you'll kind of have to tap things and translate them yourself. But it might be a fun way to body storm this, right? I think that's, for a concept like this, it's going to be so helpful for you to body storm it. That is like to not brainstorm, but like actually embody some of these interactions that you're thinking about, move around, feel like how they would feel. So download that Weird app. Oh yeah, so you know Zach. Oh, okay, yeah. I would experiment with that app and just try it, and see like how it feels, because that's already built. You don't have to build anything. Easy, low cost. I encourage that for anyone that's kind of thinking about like a new app with new paradigms. Like, what does that feel like? And then let's go, just because I'm so into this concept, let's go into the lenses, and we'll think about the lenses just for a little bit. Oh, you're on Android, Azlen, what? Come on. You need to get yourself an iPhone, and try this, because it's remarkable. It's so fun. Find someone that has an iPhone. Okay. And so the lenses, okay. You have a lot of text here, and unfortunately I can't just like read this all on stream. I think people will get bored. But I think the idea is that you have different lenses for different like categories or different ways of visualizing the space. Okay, space, repetition, visual mnemonics, example sentences, grammar, notes, color words based on position. Like, my question that comes to mind is like, why should these be lenses as opposed to kind of showing it all in context? And that comes back to that initial thing that I was thinking about at the beginning. Like, what is the value of learning in a space? And if you think about how you can learn in a space with these languages through AR and how that's helpful for these lenses, then I think these filter ideas will get way more strong, because these are really just like filters to look at the content in a different way. It's just like showing or not showing in a different way. And I actually encourage you to think more about the interaction. Like, should it be gamified, right? You're working with space, and someone's like, right, one of the lenses might actually be that game mode where you're challenged to look for things within like a time frame. Like, you have 30 seconds, find a picture of a lamp and take a photo of it. Like, another one of those lenses might be kind of exploring, right? Where you look around and different data is shown as you look around, right? As opposed to just kind of changing your view on the existing amount of information that you already have. Like, doesn't feel as rich as maybe playing with the interactions itself. And Azlen said, not just look at the content in a different way, but you can also change how you interact. Yeah. So maybe that is, okay, so that's exactly what I was saying, is what maybe you were thinking. Okay. So I didn't even read it fully, but which is, okay, like spaced repetition, you would hide the words in your environment and you could tap them to reveal. Okay, I see what you mean. So So for the lenses, I really dig that, especially when the interaction becomes a little bit more playful and you get to play in new ways. I love the concept in that. And Matt is chiming in with some inputs too, so read those for sure. I think that's where the lens ideas are going to be really rich, as opposed to just different ways of viewing the same content is not as strong. So I'd lean into the interaction aspect. Maybe even make it playful. I think the game ideas I was jumping through could be really fun. Spaced repetition. I don't like fully understand this yet. I might have to like dive into it. And honestly, I'm like really into this idea. So if you ever need like a co-brainstormer, let's do it. Or we could do, and this is a crit live stream, we could do like a brainstorm live stream. And we could just like really like go crazy on this idea. Word portals. Oh my goodness. Word portals is just, what a fun idea. I don't even know what it is yet. And I love that you're thinking about the hand, maybe the hand in the camera feed, with some of these interactions, press, long press, drag and swipe. Oh, that's fun. It could be a little awkward if you're using your phone and then have your hand in front of it. Like, why not just use your hand on the phone screen? Unless that's not what you mean. Maybe you do mean. Not sure. Of course, these are all early ideas, and they all seem honestly so fun. And I can't wait to see how this progresses, for sure. And hey, for Daniel, do you want to put links? We'll continue talking about this a little bit, but if you put links in the chat to what you want to talk about and what your goal for that project is and what kind of feedback you want, put that in the chat and we'll look at it next. So get ready for that. And so Matt was saying, right, I would definitely want to have some sort of lesson or game included to help me memorize the new terms. Having to find and properly identify objects in the new language is a great idea. Yeah, I completely agree with Matt there. Identifying objects in the world like skyscraper would be a great too. Would definitely motivate me to use the app more often. Yeah. And again, that's more like we were kind of going into more the brainstormy side of things rather than critique, but I think you're kind of at that stage of the process where you'll kind of just take whatever. And Daniel's saying, it seems like my project is not as exciting as the previous one. No, don't worry. Hey, no. This is, see, the reason why I started this stream, look, there's only 8 people here. The reason why it's like there's no stakes, super low stakes. Everyone can share what they want, and there's no trouble. And thanks for including that link. Okay, because we will look at it, and we're gonna help each other get better. Because would you rather me tell you my honest opinions here, or for a recruiter to see it and take their opinions and not tell you, right? Okay, so here's Danielle's design. I would love to hear. Okay, so your comments are coming in here right now. Azlen, I hope that was helpful. Honestly, I think that's a really stellar idea for how you can help people learn a language. I think my main feedback is like, think about that core loop of interaction. What is the thing that keeps repeating, and how do you encourage people to do more of that? I think it's like adding words, right? But you might want to just like really simplify that and like think about just that core loop. And you're kind of going in all these like offshoot directions, but if you focus on that core loop, you'll be really strong. And then if you get that core loop down, then everything you add on top of that will facilitate that core loop. And then I mean, your interaction playing with those different is always fun. So it's always great to see, and I think you should keep up with that. And so Daniel is saying, this is the website I created recently for one of your old clients. Okay, cool. And you said, okay, when we were working together on this one, they really wanted to split this website onto 2 sections because the company provides their services both B2C and B2B. B2C and B2B, for anyone that doesn't know, B2C is business to consumer and B2B is business to business. Okay, your one-stop solution for shopping. Drop it. Okay. I mean, okay. I want to know what it is though. One-stop solution for shopping. It's so vague. I want to know what it exactly is. Also, I love this image in the background. That is what is it called? The Oculus in New York. I believe that's a mall here. It's really pretty interior. I think that's what's behind there in that image. It's really gorgeous space. Anyway, okay, drop it. I'll click on shopper. Okay, because I don't really know what else. Okay, love shopping but hate carrying bags. Honestly, yeah, I hate carrying bags. Actually, no, I hate shopping. I don't. I hate both of these things, but that's okay. Let's continue. That's completely not relevant to your design, so sorry about that. And say hello to Drop It. Hands-free shopping with delivery from store to door. Okay, how it works. Hands-free shopping. Okay, this is so compelling. I'm really just compelled by the product here. And Daniel is saying, so what I think it's not as clear as it should be. Do you think if there's any reason behind me thinking that? How would you suggest I improve it? I almost think like you could be more specific in what these things are behind these buttons. Like shopper, we have this product experience where you can have your stuff brought to you, and then business, you can maybe have a little bit about that as well. Of course, I think I'm not really the prime user of who this website's for, so take my feedback with a grain of salt too, because I'm not really, especially the business use case, I'm very far from the user that you might be trying to go after. So you shop anywhere. I like that you've broken it down to 3 steps. That's always a lovely way to show a service. You shop anywhere in our locations. When you're ready, find a Drop It spot and partner store. You buy a Drop It pass. You can drop unlimited shopping bags throughout the day in any of our partner stores. Get all your shopping in one delivery to your door at a preferred time. Yes, I feel like there's a problem, there's a solution. You laid it out for us in just a beautiful manner, and I really appreciate that. Okay, hands-free shopping. Drop it. Shop at any of our drop your bags in store. Interesting. So you just kind of go to someone and you drop your bags. I want to see like where you drop off the bag. And is that, ooh. So like I think the opportunity here for this page is these all kind of feel like stock photography. I almost want to see like what this looks like in store. Maybe like, and then maybe this product and service, doesn't make its way into the store experience like as much. But even if like there's a logo on the counter or some sort of sign for where they kind of have that drop-off location, it'd be great to see that, to see like what does drop it look like in context in this whole experience. Because these stock photography images are great, but it would be nice to see like what are those visual, I think designers call them touch points, right? What are the different touch points where you might see the Drop It logo pop up, right? You see it, maybe do you see it on like a sticker on the entryway to the store, and then do you have like the drop-off location where you see the logo? How are people pulled to that spot? Think about that physical setup to curbside pickup, collect orders, cool, gift it, yeah. Honestly, it feels so simple, and I like how you're laying it out. I think you're doing a really good job at explaining this. I do want to see, those other touch points, whether it is is there the drop-off location, is there an app, or do you kind of not actually need an app? Do you just kind of interact with people? Because that could actually be really rich if you're only interacting with people. That feels very human. That would be nice. And then there's the whole business aspect. A pop-up. I don't like pop-ups. I'm sorry. I just always close them. I'm not even gonna read it. I always close pop-ups. I think they're kind of, honestly, like, does anyone read pop-ups? Am I like the oddball, or I don't know. I don't know. Okay. That's my opinion. We can hear the opinions of everyone in the chat. What you think of pop-ups? I always close them, especially things like that. Okay. Drop It facilitates both offline and online fulfillment, allowing you to transform your physical retail stores or physical retail locations into digital distribution points that cater for all customer journeys. Wow. Okay, that's a lot to consume.
That's like a very long sentence with a lot of words. It's kind of hard to parse. You might want to think about just making that simpler, or maybe putting it into like a bullet form, or allowing you to transform your physical into digital distribution points that cater for all customer journeys. You might not even need that last piece, right? Just like drop it facilitates, or you could probably even just say online and offline fulfillment, allowing you to transform your physical retail locations into digital distribution points. I think that's actually right here, turning physical into digital is the rich part of that sentence, and I would focus in on that because that's actually the cool thing about what Drop It does. Okay. Again, that's more content strategy rather than design, but I'll give you feedback on all fronts here. Yeah, absolutely. So this is client work, Danielle is saying. So like you do what you need to do. I agree. They probably wanted the pop-up and you're just like, hey, you're paying me. I'll do it, whatever. But they also are paying you for your opinion, and to have a strong opinion, I wouldn't be afraid. Of course, they do have the end-all be-all say on what happens, but you can also just be an advocate for the user and be like, hey, this is not a friendly experience. It's just going to annoy people. And so like, if you want to not annoy people, be the advocate for the person on the other side of the design, and which I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were in that scenario. But sometimes the client, they're the one paying you, so you just do what you can, right? Oh, did this have an animation? Did that scroll? No, never mind. Okay, and then again, you have like. I really like this layout of having the icon and the kind of description right under it, helping to grow your business online and retail. Helping to grow your online and retail business. Yep. I feel like this, and you have some animations coming in here. Feels very strong. Honestly, this page is great. We collect brands. Honestly, like a video could actually be really fun to see too. I think videos are just a great way to sell things, especially since this is a page that you're using to sell. But of course, that's not really your call as the designer. Okay, reward your employees. Ooh. Honestly, I feel like this is a very strong page, and I wish I had more feedback for you, but not being a business that would be considering this, it's hard for me to get deeper into the feedback and know what is actually most valuable for a business that's looking at Drop It as a potential solution. But I mean, from a design perspective, it's very strong. I mean, it might be a little tight on the margins here. This is kind of a small browser window. I'm sure if I open it more, I get more margin. But at this kind of smaller size, it's a little awkward. But then again, I do tend to have my browser a little smaller than most people. So, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. Hey, if anyone else has feedback that they'd like to share, go through it, put it in the chat. I love that Jayesh is also sharing a passion for hating pop-ups. Yeah, I know what you mean. And if anyone has any additional work that they want to show, let's go for it. I'll hop into it. We have extra time. But it's been a blast, going through this work. This is my last question to you, is this something you want to see more of? And if so, how do you recommend I make this bigger and get more people to participate? Because we got 4 entries, one coming in late live, which, I would like to get more, right? I think it'd be great if we had a lot more people submitting. Of course, we wouldn't be able to go as in depth. So would you take that trade-off, or do you want to keep it more intimate? Just what are your ideas for the stream? This is a new thing for me, and I want to make it as much of a learning experience as possible. But other than that, I would love to hear your thoughts. But those are all the designs that we've looked at for today, unless anyone has any last ones. So Matt says, definitely would like to see more of this. Not sure how to expand, but I can help you by sharing on. Yeah, share on your channels. Absolutely. I would love that, because a lot of my network, when I share with my network, it's kind of hard because a lot of my network are designers that already have jobs and they don't necessarily need critique on their stuff. or if they do, they can't really share it publicly. Yeah, I think it would be helpful for a lot of new designers. So my main place that'll be my main homepage for this is sam.design/crit. So this I'll put that link in the chat here. And there's nothing really on that page other than it will just link to the nearest Eventbrite page for where the next stream will be. But I imagine I'll be doing this kind of at an occasional cadence. Although I would like to get more participation, of course, having, we kept it a steady 8 people watching for the whole duration of the stream, which I thought was just really awesome. And great chat participation is great to have in, so that we can all talk through it and have a good time. Honestly, great work from everyone that participated so far. And thank you for being a guinea pig and showing your design to something that you didn't know what it was going to be, and just offering up your design for feedback is a really brave thing to do. I could invite designers from my network and we can go over the works together. Yeah, I was thinking about having a co-host, and there's definitely a lot of people I have in my network that would be interested in co-hosting, I'm sure. So that could be fun too, because then it's not just me, right? And the chat, there's another person in there too. I would love to do that. Sharing on Facebook groups. Oh yeah, I always forget about Facebook. I never go on Facebook. Adobe X, UI UX could increase participation. Okay, I'll be sure to look at Facebook for next ones. Okay, Undine, if you want to share another, let's do it. This is, like I said, this is casual, low stakes. We can dive into other designs if you'd like. Absolutely. I don't see why not. Ooh, lots of talking. But yeah, I think a co-host would be super fun, wouldn't it? Okay, thanks for putting that link in there. Let's go to it. A co-host, yeah. We'll kind of add a new energy to it, right? I think that could be really interesting. Okay, let's look at Undine's other project. Just because, why not? And Matt has to hop off. Yeah, absolutely. I've been streaming a while now, so thank you for participating. But if you have to go for it. No worries at all. And I'm glad. I hope that was helpful. I hope seeing other people's work was helpful too. And definitely see you for the next one. I'll email everyone that participated about the next one too. Okay, write, shoot it, publish it, crochet it, saute it, whatever, make it. John Whedon. Okay. Journal me. Okay. I'm really captivated. What am I about to enter here? Invite the designers who designed the project for design and critique and go over the project together with him/her, giving your feedback live. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Daniel, I actually added so the phone number at the bottom. I actually only went over this once at the beginning of the stream, but the phone number at the bottom corner will go straight to the stream. If you call that, I'll answer and you'll be live with everyone. And maybe the way I should do that is not a phone number. Maybe I should do an internet call or something, like a Google Meet room or something. But I would really enjoy having the designer's feedback in this. I was just trying to think about what's the best way for that to be facilitated. But I agree. Having someone to be able to kind of go over it with would be super nice. Okay, journal me. I'm not even sure what I'm about to look at, honestly. It would be nice to know before I start scrolling. Let's see. Objective. Okay. Accessible, reliable, secure, the personal companion to share all your thoughts, dreams, deep dark secret. Okay, so okay, journal me. This application is not just a place to keep your thoughts and secrets. It's also an inspirational friend, mood tracker, and emotional doorkeeper. So that's really important. I'd actually up-level this statement, maybe make it a little shorter and make it big and put it up here. Journal me and then what it is. To be very concise. Hey, this is the thing I made. This is what it is. Just be very bold with it. Very big too. This is really small. People might not read it if they're a prospective employer or something. Okay. This application allows all journal lovers the ability to journal daily, anywhere, and anytime. I like that premise. They no longer have to be concerned about their secrets being compromised, and they can look forward to daily perks with motivational quotes. Ooh. Secrets being compromised. Like, what? I'm curious what that means. Okay. And you have some work here. You did some research. Excuse me. Okay. Affinity map. Ooh, I want to see the affinity. Oh gosh, this is really big. It's a really big image. Okay, wait. Okay, this is the whole image. I feel like it would be more valuable to show in bigger detail what these sticky notes are and what the highlights are from this, rather than just showing the whole thing, because at this scale it's not readable and it looks like you did a lot of work, but I don't even know what it's about. So I'm actually really curious. I want to see what this is. So I would lose like all the XD Chrome on this and maybe zoom in to just a few of these. You maybe don't need to focus on all of them, but I'm curious, like what research did you do? Where is all this coming from? You know, you might want some text, like where is all this coming from? What did you do to generate all of these? Okay, user journey map. But it's hard to give any other feedback on this without knowing or being able to read it. Okay, user journey map. Cool. Journey maps are always, again, like, it feels like you designed this for a sheet of paper to like print out or something, or maybe a presentation, but it's so small. In this format on Behance, you can't read this. This is too small. So I mean, I can kind of make it out if I really tried, but the most legible parts are in the colors here. But when you're presenting your work, especially on a thing like Behance, you don't want to just take the designs you've already made that were made for a completely different context, right? If you made something for a presentation or for print, that has to be refactored when you show it in a different context, like on Behance, because here it's just a little bit too small. I think you could break it out, make things bigger. Maybe you'll have to take things away, and that's okay. You can take things away and just focus in on what you're trying to say. But phase 1, register. Phase 2, login. Make that first entry. And so, okay. And actually, I'd actually like to make a bigger comment about your journey map, which is that your journey map is talking about the flow of your design. But I actually think where journey maps are most valuable to designers is mapping an existing flow, what people are doing already, as a way of doing research. Excuse me, sorry. Like make this flow about before you even have this app. What are people experiencing, right? And not making it about your app, but making it about research to understand who you're designing for, right? Because you're mapping out the emotional state of all these things. And this is kind of arbitrary for your app, because you want the app to kind of be like, all positive emotion. But understanding that journey is going to be way helpful for understanding the journey of maybe someone that's using a different app that's not your app, and understanding that journey, or someone that maybe uses a notebook, something that's analogous to what your problem is trying to solve for, but not exactly the exact same thing. Like something you can learn from. Like you can talk to someone that might, instead of this as being a persona, let this be a real person. Let this be a real person and track an actual person's behavior through that journey. Like if they use a physical notebook, talk to them, have that conversation about their whole journey of using a physical notebook for journaling, and learn about that, and make it much bigger than just these 4 phases, right? Journaling, it's repetitive, and I kind of want to see that repetitive loop be represented too, because it's not just the 4 steps. It's gonna go over and over again, and I want to see that represented maybe too. Okay, empathy map says, thinks, does, feels. Cool. Again, hard to see, hard to read this. It's a bit too small, and it's probably good info. And we could see. And when you click on it, you get the whole image expanded like that, and it's kind of unhelpful. Okay. What would... Yeah, I could zoom in like this. So think, yeah, you want to be a little bit more formal. So like not having the capitalization here and abbreviating to BG color is a no. Like it's just, I think you could make this grammatically correct, capitalize the T, just be formal with it. People will pick up on these typos and immediately kind of like put you into a bucket of someone that's not focused on details, and you don't want to be put in that bucket because you'll really need to focus on details, and these little things will bite you from the perspective of recruiters and hiring managers. And it looks like these are all kind of like quotes, right? Which I really like. These are all from the first person point of view of the persona, which I do think is strong. I think it's a nice way to be thinking about. Oops. Oh, what happened? Close this. To be thinking about it. Okay, and then you have the persona. Okay, you like have all these things about that go into the persona, and then you explain the persona. You might want to flip that order around. So instead of having the persona below all of those things, maybe have it first. You talk about the persona, who you're designing for, and then those other activities, right? And then who's this coming from? Like, did you actually talk to someone and you're building that persona off of that person, or is this just made up? Because if it's just made up, honestly, it's not valuable research. So you're going to want to tell that story too. Jayesh also, okay, invite the designers. I think these are older messages, but Jayesh also said, I designed a landing page for a concept e-commerce website. If you'd like to have a look at it, you can drop the link. Yeah, you can drop the link, absolutely, and we'll take a look. And that will probably be the last one that we look at for this stream. Okay, so then you talk about the persona, which I'm not going to read in full detail because there's kind of a lot there, but I get the idea of what you're doing here. And then we get onto the actual good stuff, the app itself. Journal, escape your day, swipe up to set it your security. And that seems to be a big thing that you kind of are dialing into. It's like security is a big part of this app. Oh, and I like that you're kind of establishing like fun patterns around security to make it feel unique is nice. Like you have the pin code. This reminds me of the Android pattern thing that you can make, which is neat. Yeah, I think that's fun. I think it lets people personalize their experience a little bit more, feel more like this app is their own, which is always something that you'd want for a journal, right? Okay. Illustration, add new entry. Okay. And these are just wireframes, so they're kind of rough, but I get the idea of what you're going for. I kind of want to skip down to, you have some typography. This is too many. You have too many titles here. You don't need this many. You need maybe like the big header, the smaller header, and then body text. I think you could simplify this to all those. This gets too small. Like a design system, the reason why you have a design system is to kind of to lock in your design to a few set sizes and standards. And when you have a million different sizes, it kind of lacks the system that you need. So I'd remove most of these type styles. Heading with and you have way more than you need here for that. Okay, colors. Too many colors too. Way too many colors. I'd say for a project like this, you want 3-4 colors max to be part of your brand. Because when you have so many like this, honestly, it's not a unified system anymore, and it's just a bunch of colors that you think look good. So you can make your branding very consistent by sticking to a few colors, which you are actually doing, right? You're using this green and this blue a lot, and they're your main colors. So stick with that and show that, and don't include all those other ones there. Okay, journal. Okay, and I like that you're putting it in context. I'm a big fan of people putting their designs in context. And look, it even looks like someone that would be a journaler because they have the notebook. So great job doing that. Yeah, you have your final designs. I guess on Behance this might be hard to do, but like having to scroll through each of these steps is a little bit like it's just a little bit repetitive. It would be nice to just click through these maybe. Okay, and it's actually like, I like that you're setting up the context by putting it in the photo, but then some of these actually do want to see more close up. So you don't need to have all of them in the photo, because now I need to zoom in. Okay, hello Mel. Okay. And also, as you're telling the story, don't just tell it with photos. I'd like to see some text in here telling that story alongside the photos. Like if you were presenting this and telling the story of what Mel is doing, what would you be saying? And put those as bullet points for each one. You don't need a lot of detail, just like a sentence for each one would be enough. Yeah, and then maybe have it, yeah, I don't know if you can do a click-through on Behance, or you could embed an XD prototype that is a click-through. That's something that you could do as an alternative. And then you don't have to worry about scrolling through each one. Okay. Honestly, I think it's slick. I do want to see more of like, I do want to see a close-up. Like, I think you could actually skip out a lot of this typography, a lot of this color stuff, and just narrow in onto the journaling experience and tell the story of the journaling experience itself. Like, actually, people don't care as much about the menus and the layout as they do about that story that you're telling. And I would almost be like, think of like, you can almost tell the story. So you're designing, you had that Mel personality at the end there. Like, who is Mel? What are they actually journaling about? What's happening in this person's life that they need to be journaling? Like, tell that whole story around why that person needs it, and make your presentation of this app bigger than just the app itself. The app is actually unimportant. At the end, when you're presenting it, you tell the story of Mel and why Mel needs this and what's going on in her life and what she's actually writing about. And that's the really powerful thing, that as a designer, you can be a storyteller, and there's so many rich opportunities to use that storytelling in this design here. But overall, I think you did a really good job. I would like to see these final designs just a little bit closer, because I'm seeing a few things like this bottom bar, and like I would have maybe some feedback on your final designs that I could share, but without being able to see them closer, it's a little hard. And then, did you test it with any people? Like, these are, you're calling this your mock-ups, but are they your final design as well? Because that's kind of how you end it. I'd be curious to, yeah, because they're mock-ups, but is it the final design? Yeah, telling that whole story, start to end, would be really strong. And then, yeah, I do want to give you some feedback on the actual designs here. Say what's on your mind. Smile. I like that you have the, okay, so those are the quotes you were talking about. Yeah, so I do really have to look really closely to see the things that you were talking about at some points. And then you have more quotes. What are you thankful for today? You have these array of icons. It would be nice, those should have text underneath as well, because it's hard to know what those are exactly saying. Generally, any buttons are always just best suited to have button or like icon plus text is just, oh, there's a video at the bottom. But yeah, icon plus text is always the best route to go. Is there a video? Oh, there is a video. Oh, let's look at it. Okay. I have to open it. For some reason, Behance is so strange, not working with the videos here. Let me open it up in Chrome. I gotta tell the Behance team about that. Okay. Let's look at the video, and then we'll move on to that next one that Jayesh put in the chat. Okay, scroll all the way to the bottom. Oh, here we have it. Oh, it's so big. You should make it smaller. Maybe put it into a 16 by 9. Because I can't even fit it on my whole screen. Can I zoom out? I can zoom out. That's not ideal though. Okay. Zoom out more. More. Okay, I had to make the webpage super small to fit this all in. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, this is actually what I was looking for. Swipe up for security menu. And you know what could be cool? You can even get a narration on top of this video. Like, what is Mel saying or thinking to herself? Could be really nice to have audio accompaniment for this video. You create the pattern. Yep. Okay. Hello, Mel. Welcome. What are you thankful for? Oh, okay. I like that you have a... Oh, what's your mood? Okay. So, like, you have a few different... What is the prompt for the journaling? Is it what are you thankful for? Or is it what is your mood, right? You have two different questions here. And that becomes conflicting, right? If I'm on this journaling app, like, I like that you're using the emojis, though. The emojis are super fun. I love any app that's using emojis, honestly. Way to go. But yeah, two questions. That's kind of conflicting there. I want to zoom in just a little bit more. Let's do that. Okay, and then you can select from this list, and it's a scrolling list. Like, actually, this menu doesn't need to be a tiny scrolling menu. Like, you can make this a full screen experience. Like, what's your mood? Like, you're no longer on this page anymore. You're on a totally new page with an array, maybe even like a gallery view of all these emojis. Like, this app I was just playing with look at this app called Honk. It's called Honk. And it's a really new way of chatting. And the way they have these emojis set up, it's just kind of like a gallery, almost like a keyboard. But you can also have the text next to each one of those. That might be like a fun place for inspiration. Okay, then you choose one. Flirt-ish. Oh, flirt-ish. What a weird emotion. Okay. And you can pick one. Peck-ish. Unamused. Sad. Okay, so you select sad. And then... Oh, and then the question, what are you thankful for today, comes up. So, like, yeah. Interesting. And you had to tap the icon. It seems like you had to tap the save icon to get to that, and I'm not understanding what's happening there. Like, maybe that should have just... like, I feel like if someone's telling you that they're sad, you need to acknowledge that. And that's kind of like... Think about their emotional state, right? If someone's telling you that they're sad and the app just understood that they tapped the sad button, like... You should have, the app should respond to that. Be like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Let's like dive into it and talk about it a little bit more. Like, as opposed to just moving on to the next thing. Feels robotic and not, like it's not listening, right? And that's important. Okay, and then what are you thankful for? Again, have the text and the icons like you did with the emojis. So I know what those exactly are. And you might want to make that more consistent, right? Maybe what you're thankful for you can also show with emojis. Or maybe you make the other one more similar to this. The first emotion picker. Anyway, like golf. What are you thankful for today? Golf? Like, yeah, it feels like a little bit of an oddball. Like the golf emoji here. But okay. You select some, and you have this scrolling list. And these are your other entries, I imagine. That scrolling area is a little bit small. I think you could get bigger with the scrolling area, where maybe if you start scrolling, the other parts of the app hide. That might be a little hard to prototype, as long as you're thinking about it though. And that's the end of the video. Cool. Honestly, I think this is a really fun idea. I really like where the quotes are coming in. I'm wondering, how are the quotes actually facilitating? Like, how are the quotes chosen? Like, why are the quotes there and why are they important, as opposed to just being like decorative? Is something I feel like you can elaborate more on, because it takes up such a big portion of your design, but it doesn't really come up many times. Okay, let's look at Jayesh, the other design from Jayesh. Yeah, and thanks for hanging out with us and listening to the critiques. I hope it's helpful. Cool. The quotes are chosen based on your mood. Oh, okay. It would be nice to see that. Like, maybe the app can have like a loading state. Like, you should show the person that it's doing things in the background, and you need to kind of like visualize that to users, or else they'll kind of like not know what's going on. And so maybe there's a step after you type how you're feeling, where it has like this loading animation, and then it's like ding, ready, and we have this perfect quote for you. Could be kind of neat. Sometimes people call that like intentional friction, like you're actually adding a friction point to make it feel like more of a moment than it actually is. Can be actually valuable. Okay, and so let's look at Jayesh's other design here, and this is an e-commerce website homepage. And this will be our last one, and then I'm gonna turn off the stream. I've been talking a lot, I'm getting a little tired, but it's been so lovely being able to dive into all these designs and help everyone out here. Okay, Panache seems to be the brand. And we have a navigation bar up here, men, women, kids, sale. Oh my gosh, everything's all caps. Everything is all caps, and all caps is just kind of hard to read. So, like for certain titles, like big titles, all caps is acceptable. But when you get to the smaller text, like maybe with the navigation bar, it almost slides. And with the buttons, it slides, but with like the smaller text that's like the subheading, I don't think all caps works for that. Look, here you don't have the all caps, which I think is good. But again, this is lorem ipsum, it's filler text. I think you could be more specific. Actually, designing around the content is going to be way more helpful to you in your design journey than putting in fake content. Because it allows you to be the fake writing allows you to be unspecific with where your design is going, and that's not helpful to you. Okay. Honestly, there's a lot of things to look at. When I open this page, you have like a million call to actions. A call to action is like these main images with a button. I think a page should really only have one main call to action. Like when you go to this page, what is the one thing that you want a user to do? And really focus in on that one thing as opposed to a million things. And that could be a sliding banner that has multiple calls to action, and it slides from one to the other. But really only having one at a time will help keep it feeling clean and focused, so that people's attention isn't diverted into all these different corners of the screen. Because right now there's a lot of things to look at. A lot of things. You're also using a few different typefaces. You have this serif typeface. This almost looks like a different one, or maybe it's just a skinnier face of the same typeface. Biggest brands in fashion. Okay. And you have some brands. I think, I'm wondering, okay, I think you could get rid of these rectangles on here. They feel like an unnecessary design element. Unless you really feel it endorses the brand a little bit more, I'd find a different way. Gosh, I'm trying to find like an actionable way to tell you how to improve this, but it feels a little bit like a decoration that's not really helping the experience a little bit. Maybe there's a different way you can show these decorations around the photo. Maybe explore just a few different other options, or get rid of it entirely, but it does feel a little distracting. And you want to keep, what's great about having an e-commerce site and going in deep on the photography is that the photography is so helpful. Like distracting from the photography is only going to like pull people away. And I like how you have so many big photos that it really pulls people in, because people love photos of faces, people love photos of good looking things, especially if they're in the mood to be shopping. And so I think that part of your design is successful. Okay. Yeah, again, electronics too. Interesting. Dark mode. Okay. Yeah, I think you could clean this up by just like having less things, making things more aligned, really thinking about your typography. But where I think you are excelling is like the imagery. People really attach themselves to imagery and photographs. And I think you've made a great selection of photographs, and they all feel like they're in the same line. This person's head is cut off, which is like a little strange. Like you kind of want to see the whole body. It just feels weird that you don't have their head, because that's where their face is going to be where all the personality is. So that as being the main image is a little off-putting to me. And then you have like a place to put in email for a newsletter. yeah, and that's the main thing for this homepage. I hope that feedback was helpful. Make a few different versions, show them to people, and you can get even more feedback from people that might actually be fans of this brand or are more shopping enthusiasts than me, because I'm not as much of a shopping enthusiast compared to like most people, I think. But that's okay. Lots of opportunities for you to get feedback from other people. Of course, you know, I hope my feedback's helpful, but if it's not, you know, that's okay. You know, take it and you can throw it in a dumpster if you want. But the idea here is that hopefully we can, you know, have a conversation around your designs and make them the best that they can be, so that you can be the best experienced designer possible, right? Awesome. Okay, it's been a super awesome stream. Wow, I've been going a while now, haven't I? How long have I been going? A while. I'm not sure how long, but a while. Okay. Well, that's all I have for today. You made this a very successful stream, I think. It went, an hour and 40 minutes. Wow. It went way longer than I thought it would go. So thank you for the people that have stuck around and participated in the chat and listened to everything I had to say. I'll definitely be doing more of this. And you all made for a very productive and great environment to be trying a new type of live stream out. So thank you for giving your all and participating. Awesome. I'll see you next time. Whenever I do a stream next, I'll probably email out updates to the people that filled out the Eventbrite. But other than that, if you have feedback, throw it into the chat or send me an email. My email, you can reach me at hi@sam.design. That's my email if you want to email me. It's also a way that you can give me feedback about how the stream went. Or, Twitter too. I'm at Sam. Thank you, Akin. I'm at sam.design. Cool, on Twitter. So that's where you can reach me. Hey, I hope you all have a great week. Happy Monday. Keep on rocking out. Keep making new designs and pushing yourself to new limits and sharing with people to get the best feedback you can. Other than that, peace out. Stay positive, stay optimistic, and I will see you all later. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.